Hi everyone, it's Laura here from Tired Mummy of Two, and today I'm going to show you how to carve a evil Dan TDM pumpkin, because I made the mistake of telling my kids I can carve anything into a pumpkin. So they asked me to carve an evil Dan TDM. Now for those of you who don't know, this is the picture that I will be carving onto the pumpkin. So Evil Dan TDM is from the Dan TDM tour, and this is one of the t-shirts that's available on the tour. So I'm going to be using this as my as my template of what I'm drawing. Now we picked up these pumpkins yesterday in Tesco's, so I'm going to have a go. Now my first tip is to find the side of the pumpkin that you want to do it on. Now I'm going to cut out Dan's eye, so what I might do is I might actually use that bit there as his eye. Just double check I can do the spikes around there. In fact, I'm going to do it on this side because it's nice and flat. Now what I tend to do is I tend to draw on the pumpkin first to make sure that I can get my design sorted, and then I use the pumpkin carving tools afterwards. So first things first, I'm going to start with the face shape. And then we've got an ear and a chin like that, and we've got a big bushy eyebrow like that, and an eye, and we've got a pointy nose and a big sort of triangular mouth. And then this bit is all shaved here from the eyeball down there, and he's got an earring hole there. And then in the hair we've got it coming out from the ear, and we've got some big spiky hair. Let's do it from over here as well, and then a big spike there. So there you go. I hope you can see that. I'm going to use these tools. So now I've got two different tools that I use. So the big one's for when I cut the top, and then this one is for first cutting through. Now I don't actually hollow out the pumpkin first. I tend to cut my design in first and then hollow out the pumpkin at the end. Now this is because I find it keeps the pumpkin sturdier and makes the whole carving process a lot easier, which means I can do more intricate designs. Now I am by no means a artist or creative at all. I can only do this if I have something to copy. I can't just look at a pumpkin and like randomly come up with a design. It's just not something that I'm able to do. But what I can do is take a design and carve it. So this is a complete and utter copy of the design of the Dan TDM Evil Dan thing, but we're going to try our best. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually cut out his hair so it's completely out. So sometimes I do shading work with the pumpkin, which I'll show you when I do the beard and a few other bits like his eyebrows and stuff. But the main job is actually what the light's going to shine through. So as I said, the main thing I'm going to do is his hair is going to come all the way out. I'm just going to go around the edges, make sure that it's completely and utterly disconnected. It's getting there. Obviously, because I haven't actually carved the pumpkin, there's a lot of flesh holding it into place, so we just have to make sure that we go through and disconnect it completely from there. And it's coming. Let's see. What? Stab it. See if we can pull it out. What I might do is I might cut it in two just to make that a bit easier. So that's one bit there, and that bit there. So there is Evil Dan's hair. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make his eye completely cut out. Although it's not on the design, I think it does actually make a big difference to the pumpkin if we do that. So let's cut his eye out completely. There you go. Pop that out. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut his eyebrow in, but not completely cut it out, if that makes sense. I'm going to show you what I mean, because we want it to be a part of the design feature, but we don't want it completely and utterly chopped out. So we don't want it as a whole, we just want it to partially let light through. So what I tend to do there is I lightly cut in and then cut off the top layer of flesh, so we can still see the design coming through, like this. There you go. So that's his eyebrow, and his eye is cut out now. And so the next thing I'm going to do is the same sort of design idea for his nose, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut his nose, because it's angular. I'm going to cut it, and I'm just going to cut it a bit thicker so that it does actually come through as a slit rather than just an individual line. Let's pop that out. There you go. There, that's that bit done. And we've then got, let's do his mouth. Now the mouth again is something I'm going to completely cut out to really add to the design, and it again, it's very angular, so let's get this done properly. And hopefully you can see that it's starting to take shape and starting to look a little bit like the design that we had planned. So we've now got his ear. And what I don't want to do, again, is I don't want to completely cut out his ear, but we do need to make the edges obvious. We do want the light to shine through those edges. So I'm just going to do them as very thin slices to just put the edge in there. Flick that bit out. There you go. That's that bit. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put his earring in, because Dan has quite big earplugs, and so does this Evil Dan on the t-shirt. So let's make sure that that's an actual feature of the pumpkin, that those earplugs are in there. There you go. And I'm going to now concentrate on making sure I do his face. But what you have to be careful of is when you're doing this, is if you completely carve out the edges of his face, it's going to fall out, and the whole design in the middle is going to fall. So what I tend to do is, where there's angular pieces, is I will leave a gap. So there's a little bit of a gap at the front, and I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to leave a little gap before I start cutting again down to his chin. Again, what I'm doing to get the design in is some little slices, just to put the edges in there. I'm going to do the same over here, like this. Bearing in mind that this is now becoming very loose, because there's not much holding Evil Dan's face into this pumpkin now. So the last thing I want to do is his beard. Now on the t-shirt, I'll just show you again, his beard is kind of like stripy, but what I would quite like to do is, like what I've done with the eyebrows, is just take a little bit of the layer of the pumpkin off, just to add to the design feature and hopefully not compromise the structure too much. So I'm just going to kind of lightly peel the pumpkin on the bits where he's got a beard. This is one of the trickiest parts, because if you mess this up, the whole design could fall into the pumpkin. And as I say, I haven't carved the pumpkin yet because I wanted it to have a bit of structure, so I really don't want to push the main part of his face through yet, because that could really cause issues. There you go. Let's see how far up it comes. It does come under his nose. So he's got a kind of moustache type thing going on. And there. And we've got kind of all the way up to his ears. We've got to get this done, but it doesn't quite go all the way up to his eyes, so we've got to kind of carve that in there so that we're cutting the right amount off when we're doing this. There you go. So there you go, that is my Evil Dan TDM pumpkin. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to use the larger cutter that I've got to scoop out the middle of the pumpkin, pop a light in there so that you can actually see the finished design. Let's do that. Just get a carrier bag to pop the insides in, and what I do is I actually use like a metal spoon to scoop out the inside of a pumpkin, because I just find that it actually cuts all the insides away a lot easier than most of the plastic spoons that come with the carving kits. So just be careful as you're doing this that you're not pushing against your design, because what we would hate to do is actually break that design now that we've made it. So just very gently scoop out from around your design without pushing through. So I've scooped out most of the side, and the best thing is just to get your hand in and pull it all out. It's the easiest way to sort out a pumpkin is just stick your hand in. It's disgusting, it's slimy, it smells really bad, but you get a lot more in a handful than you do on a spoon, and it's a lot quicker to do it this way. Obviously you can keep the pumpkin seeds if you want to, you can keep the flesh if you want to. We're not a big lover of pumpkin in our house, so we don't tend to do that. We just tend to throw it on the compost heap or put it in the green bin and recycle it, because we're not going to eat it. I've got a few more bits that I need to do with the spoon, just to make sure it's got a nice flat bottom for the candle or the light, depending on what you put in. And we are almost done. There you go. So that is our carved out pumpkin. I'm just going to go and pop and get a light and then see what you think of the final design. I might need to tweak it a little bit. I'll be right back. So there you go. That is my Evil Dan TDM pumpkin from the Dan TDM tour. Let me know what you think, and let me know what designs you're planning on doing your pumpkins. If you enjoyed this video, do like, maybe even subscribe to see more of my crazy videos, and I hope to see you back again soon. Bye!